We've all been taught that Christopher Columbus was the brave explorer who discovered America in 1492. Every school child learns the rhyme. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. He is celebrated with a national holiday, statues, and cities named in his honor. But what if this heroic narrative is a carefully constructed myth? What if the story we've been told is not just an oversimplification, but a deliberate lie designed to hide a horrifying truth? Today, we will pull back the curtain on this sanitized history and reveal the dark, bloody reality of the man we call a hero. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving deep into the story of a figure who looms large in the story of America, Christopher Columbus. But we aren't here to recount the tale of the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. Instead, we're here to ask a much more unsettling question. Was Christopher Columbus truly a pioneering discoverer? Or was he the architect of a brutal genocide that systematically destroyed entire civilizations and ushered in centuries of suffering? The evidence we will examine paints a picture not of a hero, but of a tyrant driven by an insatiable hunger for gold and glory at any human cost. To understand the tragedy that unfolded, we must first understand the world Columbus stumbled upon. Before 1492, the Americas were not an empty, untamed wilderness. They were a vibrant, complex world, home to an estimated 60 to 100 million people. These were not scattered, primitive tribes. They were sophisticated societies with their own rich cultures, advanced agricultural systems, intricate political structures, and deep spiritual traditions. In the Caribbean, where Columbus first made landfall, the Taíno people thrived. They lived in large, well-organized villages, practiced advanced farming techniques, and had developed a complex social hierarchy. They were a peaceful people, known for their generosity and hospitality. When Columbus and his men first arrived on the island they called Hispaniola, now home to Haiti and the Dominican Republic, the Taíno greeted them with gifts, food, and open arms. They saw these strange visitors as beings from the heavens. Columbus himself noted their gentle nature in his own journal, writing, "They are very gentle and without knowledge of what is evil, nor do they murder or steal. They love their neighbors as themselves, and they have the sweetest talk in the world, and are gentle and always laughing." This idyllic image, however, was about to be shattered by the very man who described it. The stage was set not for a cultural exchange, but for a violent and devastating conquest. The moment Columbus set foot in the New World, his mission was clear, and it had nothing to do with discovery. It was about exploitation. Funded by the Spanish monarchy, Queen Isabella, and King Ferdinand, his voyage was a commercial enterprise. The primary objective was to find a new route to the riches of Asia, and if that failed, to extract wealth from any lands he encountered. When he found no spices or silks, his focus shifted to the two things he could easily plunder: land and people. The dark truth is that Columbus almost immediately initiated a reign of terror. He wasn't just a bystander to the violence. He was its chief architect and administrator. He established the asterisk encomienda asterisk system, a brutal form of slavery where Spanish colonists were granted land and the indigenous people living on it. The Taíno were forced into backbreaking labor in gold mines and on plantations. The conditions were horrific. Those who resisted had their hands cut off or were hunted down by war dogs. The quest for gold became an obsession. Columbus imposed an impossible tribute system. Every Taíno over the age of 14 was required to deliver a certain quota of gold every 3 months. The penalty for failure was death. Since the islands had very little surface gold, this was a death sentence for thousands. But the horror didn't stop at forced labor. Columbus and his men unleashed a wave of unimaginable cruelty. Eyewitness accounts from missionaries like Bartolomé de las Casas, who initially participated in the conquest before becoming a fierce advocate for the indigenous people, document the atrocities in graphic detail. He wrote of Spaniards who thought nothing of knifing Indians by 10s and 20s, and of cutting slices off them to test the sharpness of their blades. He described how they snatched babies from their mothers' breasts, grabbing them by the feet and smashing their heads against rocks. They made bets on who could split a man in two with a single sword stroke. This was not random violence. It was a systematic campaign of terror designed to break the will of the Taíno people and establish absolute control. Within just 2 years of Columbus's arrival, the Taíno population on Hispaniola, once estimated to be as high as 8 million, was cut in half. By 1542, just 50 years later, fewer than 200 were believed to still be alive. This wasn't just a tragic consequence of disease, which also played a devastating role. It was a direct result of a deliberate policy of enslavement, torture, and mass murder orchestrated by Christopher Columbus himself. He was the first to transport enslaved indigenous people across the Atlantic to Europe, initiating the transatlantic slave trade and setting a precedent that would define the next 4 centuries. So, the legacy of Christopher Columbus is not one of discovery, but of destruction. He didn't discover a new world. He invaded a world that was already inhabited and initiated its systematic annihilation. The narrative of Columbus as a heroic explorer is a myth that whitewashes a genocide and erases the memory of millions of victims. His voyages marked the beginning of the largest demographic catastrophe in human history and laid the foundation for the brutal colonization of the Americas and the transatlantic slave trade. The statues and holidays that honor him are not just celebrating a historical figure. They are celebrating the very genesis of colonial violence and oppression that has had lasting, painful consequences for indigenous communities to this day. To continue celebrating him is to ignore this dark, bloody history and to disrespect the memory of those who perished. But this raises a difficult question. How should we deal with the dark legacies of our historical figures? Is it possible to acknowledge their accomplishments while still holding them accountable for their atrocities? Or does the scale of their crimes completely overshadow any good they may have done? What is the right way to remember our past, and who gets to decide? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If this video made you think, please like and share it to help spread the conversation. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to join our community and continue exploring the hidden truths of our history.